Vandeyam Shri Guru Shiyata Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Rana Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivishkam Vitam Sya Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyanajana Shalakya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhistam Sapurakam Guruganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samastaveda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govindabhidam Ujjalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Vande Vishwagurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Prem Noi Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanum Suchandavananam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadekavaranam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Mandetam Shubhadam Madeka Sharanam Nyashi Srada Shridaram Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahamaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. Translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is Madhya-lila, chapter 25. The residents of Varanasi become Vaishnavas. And this is the last chapter in the Madhya-lila. So, we heard how this is really a follow-up to the seventh chapter. This is a follow-up to the seventh chapter of the Adi Lila, when Mahaprabhu, we could say, speaks with the Mayavadi sannyasis headed by Prakashananda Saraswati, who were previously criticizing them, and he converts them all to become Vaishnavas. Then this chapter deals with the aftermath, the consequences, and we heard how one of the chief disciple of Prakashananda Saraswati Thakur praised Mahaprabhu, criticized Shankaracharya's commentaries on the Sharirag Bhasha being imaginary, and logically criticized them. And then Prakashananda Saraswati came and he bowed down at Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. And the Lord said, "You are a Jagat Guru, why are you doing this? This is not good to show to other people." Mahaprabhu is always showing so much humility. But then, I'll start with, then towards the end, after they're talking, then Prakashananda says, comments, and I'll read from text 86. Ebe tomara padabje upajibe bhakti tati lagi kori tomar charane pranati. Henceforward I shall certainly develop devotional service unto your lotus feet. For this reason I've come to you and have fallen down at your lotus feet. Itabole prabhure loya tatai basila prabhure prakashananda puchite lagila. After saying this, Prakashananda Saraswati sat down with Mahaprabhu and began to question the Lord as follows. Mayavadi korila jat doshara akyan sabe janiya charja kalpita bhyakyan. Prakashananda Saraswati said, we can understand the faults you have pointed out in the Mayavad philosophy. All the explanations given by Shankaracharya are imaginary. Sutrara korila tumi mukyarta vivaran tahashuni sabar hoila chamatkaraman. My dear Lord, whatever direct meaning you have given when explaining the Brahma Sutra is certainly very wonderful to all of us. Tumita Ishvara Tomar Ache Sarva Sakti Sankepa Rupe Kahatumi Shunite Hoimati. You are the Supreme Lord Himself, and therefore you have inconceivable energies. I wish to hear from you briefly about the Brahma Sutra. Prabhu kohe ami jiva ati tucha gyan vyasa sutra gambirartha vyasa bhagavan. Mahaprabhu replied, I am an ordinary living being and therefore my knowledge is very insignificant. However, the meaning of the Brahma Sutra is very grave because its author, Vyasadeva, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. Tara Sutra Artha Kon Jiva Nahi Jane Ateva Apane Sutrartha Koryache Bhyakyane. The purport of the Vedanta Sutra is very difficult for an ordinary person to understand, but Vyasadeva, out of his causeless mercy, has personally explained the meaning. Je Sutra Karta Se Jari Koraye Bhyakyan Tabe Sutrera Mularta Lokera Hoy Gyan. If the Vedanta Sutra is explained by Vyasadeva himself, who has written it, its original meaning can be understood by the people in general. Pranavera Jay Arta Gayatrite Se Hoy Se Arta Chatu Shloke Vivariya Koi. The meaning of the sound vibration Omkara is present in the Gayatri Mantra. The same is elaborately explained in the 4 shlokas of the Srimad Bhagavatam known as the Chatu Shloki. Brahmareshwara Chatu Shloki Jay Kohila Brahma Narade Se Upadesha Koila. Whatever was spoken by the Supreme Lord to Lord Brahma in those 4 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam was also explained to Narada by Lord Brahma.
I'm sorry, Maharaj, what text are you on?
96.
Thank you.
Narada se arta vyasa re kohila shuni veda vyasa mani bichara korila. Whatever Lord Brahma told Narad Muni was again explained by Narad Muni to Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva later considered these instructions in his mind. E arta amara sutra vyakyanurup bhagavat koriba sutra bhashya swarup. Srila Vyasadeva considered that whatever he had received from Narad Muni as an explanation of Omkara, he would elaborately explain in his book Srimad Bhagavatam as a commentary on the Brahma Sutra. Chariveda Upanishade Jatakichuhoy Tararta Loya Vyasa Korila Sanchai. Vyasadeva collected whatever Vedic conclusions were in the 4 Vedas and 108 Upanishads and placed them in the aphorisms of the Vedanta Sutra. Jai Sutre Jai Rik Vishaya Vachan Bhagavate Se Rik Shloke Dibadan. In the Vedanta Sutra, the purport of all Vedic knowledge is explained. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, the same purport has been explained in 18,000 verses. The Vedanta Sutra, the purport of all Vedic knowledge is explained, and in Srimad Bhagavatam, the same purport has been explained in 18,000 verses. Ateva Brahma Sutra Bhashya Shri Bhagavat Shloka Upanishad Kohe Ekmat. Therefore, it is to be concluded that the Brahma Sutra is explained vividly in Srimad Bhagavatam. Also, what is explained in the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam has the same purport as what is explained in the Upanishads. Therefore, it is to be concluded that the Brahma Sutra is explained vividly in Srimad Bhagavatam. Also, what is explained in the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam has the same purport as what is explained in the Upanishads. So it's being explained here by Mahaprabhu that there's a, what's the word? Well, we can say they're all conforming, but I guess there's some word like concluence. That there's parallel explanations in the Upanishads, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Vedanta Sutra. They're all consistent one with the other. Atmavashanidam vishvam yat kinchit jagatyam jagat atmavashamidam vishvam yat kinchit jagatyam jagat tena chakjena bhunjita magrida kashasvidanam. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things for oneself that are set aside as one's quota. One should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things for himself that are set aside as one's quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. So this is a very important concept that we have in Vaishnavism. In the Prakashananda it says, Atyahara prayasascha prajalpa niyamagra. And it says, Atyahara. People accumulate more for their own subsistence than they really need. They're always making some kind of exaggerations of what are their needs, and therefore they complicate their lives by having to fulfill so many, demands upon themselves that they themselves artificially place on their lives, thinking that they need really more than is necessary for them to live. Well, you can see that people want to live opulently, but to maintain their opulent lifestyle, they have to subject themselves to so many unnecessary pressures. Speaking in generalities, but we can see that. Bhagavate and the atyahara. So this means collecting more than necessary, artificially imposing upon oneself some wants that are really not necessary. So everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things for oneself that are set aside as one's quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. So who do they belong? Everything ultimately is meant. Everything ultimately, we can say, is the energy of the Lord. So we should recognize the Lord's dominion over really everything that existed. Bhagavater Sambandha Abhideya Prayojan Shatushlokite Prakata Tara Korijache Lakan. The essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, our relationship with the Supreme Lord, our activities in that connection, and the goal of life is manifest in the 4 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Chatushloki. Everything is explained in those verses. So here Mahaprabhu is saying that Sambandha Abhideyam Prayojana, which are 3 essential points of the Vedic literature, and in particular the Srimad Bhagavatam, those concepts are all explained in the Chatushloki, 4 verses, the 4 key verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, from which everything else has expanded. And those, and Sambandha Abhideyam Prayojana is relationship, here said, relationship with the Supreme Lord, our activities in that connection, relationship, Sambandha, our activities in that connection, Abhideya, and the goal of life, Prayojana. Ami Sambandha Tattva Amar Jnana Vigyan Amapaite Sanana Bhakti Abhideya Nam Lord Krishna said, I am the center of all relationships. Knowledge of me and the practical application of that knowledge is actual knowledge. Approaching me for devotional service is called abhideya. Spiritual knowledge means fully understanding the absolute truth in three features: impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and the all-powerful Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ultimately, when one takes shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord and engages in his service, the resultant knowledge is called Vigyan. Special knowledge, or the practical application of spiritual knowledge. One should be engaged in the Lord's devotional service to achieve the aim of life, called prayojana. The practices of devotional service to attain that goal of life is called abhideya. Saraner phala prema mula prayojan se preme pai jiva amara sevan. By rendering devotional service, one gradually rises to the platform of love of Godhead. That is the chief goal of life. On the platform of love of Godhead, one is eternally engaged in the service of the Lord. Jnanam paramaguyam me yadvigyana samanvitam sarahashyam tadangam cha grihana gaditam maya. Please hear attentively what I shall speak to you, for transcendental knowledge about me is not only scientific, but full of mysteries. 18 tattva ami kohinu tomare jiva tumi 18 narive janibare. O Brahma, I shall explain all these truths to you, since you are a living being, jiva, without my O Brahma, I shall explain all these truths to you. Since you are a living being, jiva, without my explanation, you will not be able to understand your relationship with me, devotional activity, and life's ultimate goal. Jai Amar Swarup, Jai Amar Stiti, Jai Amar Gun, Karma, Shad Aishwarya Shakti. I shall explain to you my neutral form and situation, my attributes, activities, and 6 opulences. Amar Kripai E Sab Spuraka Tomare. No. Amar Kripaya E Sab Swaruka Tomare Etabole Tin Tatwa Kohilata Hare. Lord Krishna assured Lord Brahma, by my mercy all these things will be awakened in you. Seeing this, the Lord began to explain the 3 truths, tattvas, to Lord Brahma. 3 truths again, sambandha abhideya prayojan. Javanaham yathabhavo yadrupa gunakarmaka tathaiva tattva vijnanam astute mad anugrahat. By my causeless mercy, be enlightened in truth about my personality, manifestations, qualities, and pastimes. Shristira purve shad aishvarya purna amita hoye prapansha prakriti purusha amate loye. Before the creation of the cosmic manifestation, the Lord said, I existed, and the total material energy, material nature, and the living entities all existed in me. Before the creation of the cosmic manifestation, the Lord said, I existed, and the total material energy, material nature, and the living entities all existed in me. Shristi kore dharamadhyami praveshiye prapansha jadeka sab seha ami hoye. After creating the cosmic manifestation, I entered into it. Whatever you see in the cosmic manifestation is but an expansion of my energy. pralaye avashishta ami purnahoye prakrita prapanchapai amate loye. When the whole universe dissolves, I remain full in myself, and everything that was manifested is again preserved in me. So before the creation, during the creation, after the creation, the Lord exists along with all his energies. But so he is obviously he's not a person from the creation or Ahameva Shameva Gre Nanyad Yad Sarasat Param Paschadaham Yad Etachcha Yovashishyeta Somshmiyaham. Prior to the cosmic manifestation, only I exist and no phenomena exist, either gross, subtle, or primordial. After creation, only I exist in everything, and after annihilation, only I remain eternally. There's a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9.33. It is the first verse of the Chatushloki. So this is the first of the Chatushloki. Ahamevasam evagre nanyad yad sarasat param paschadaham yad etatscha so yo vashishyeta somshmiyaham. Prior to the cosmic manifestation, only I exist and no phenomena exist, either gross, subtle, or primordial. After creation, only I exist in everything, and after annihilation, only I remain eternally. So the Lord is always existing in completeness, along with all his energies and material nature, the living entities, everything contained in the Lord. But then after manifestation, it's only he that exists. Although there's so much variety of creation, but he's saying only I exist. And after the annihilation of all that we see, the universe, then only the Lord continues to exist. So he continues to exist in all circumstances. And rather we can see the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of this universe is all part of his, we could say, manifestation of his desire, his will, his Ham eva shloke aham tinbar Purnashvarya Shri Vigraha Stira Nirdar. In the very beginning, aham eva, the word aham is expressed 3 times. In the beginning, there are the words aham eva. In the second line, there are the words paschad aham. At the end are the words somsmi aham. This aham indicates the Supreme Person. By the repetition of aham, the transcendental personality, who is complete with 6 opulences, is confirmed. So aham referring to I, and the Lord is saying it is only I. I exist before the creation. It's a person expressing personality. I am existing before the creation. I'm existing, only I am existing during the creation. And after annihilation, only I exist. Ye vigraha nahi mane nirakaramane tare tiras karivare korila nirdarane. Impersonalists do not accept the personal feature of the Supreme Lord. The Lord is expressed in this verse in order to impress upon them the necessity of accepting him. Therefore, the word aham is mentioned 3 times. To stress something important, one repeats it 3 times. And I remember how Srila Prabhupada used to say that there's so many interpretations of the Bhagavad Gita. And he mentions Dr. Radha Krishna, who was one time, I think, president of India, but he said his interpretation of the Bhagavad Gita, he says that it is not to Krishna one has to surrender, but to the unborn within Krishna. But here in this verse, as in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord stresses he refers to himself as a person, expresses his individuality, his eternality, etc. So how can anybody say that you don't have to surrender to Krishna, you have to surrender to the unborn within Krishna? It's just more foolish interpretations, just eliminating personality when the word personality is expressed so strongly in so many words, referring to oneself by, we would say, by a proper pronoun, as we would say in English, a very like I, a very. It's not he or it. It's expressing oneself as a person. Impersonalists do not accept a personal feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord is as stressed in this verse in order to impress upon them the necessity of accepting them. Therefore, the word aham is mentioned 3 times. To stress something important, one repeats it 3 times. And the Bhagavad Gita says, how does it go? Bow down, worship me, bow down before me. How does that begin? Manmana baba mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. The word mam is being repeated, to me, to me, to me. And yet somebody will say it's to the unborn within Krishna, but he's saying to me. He doesn't word it as such to the unborn. Yes, surrender to the unborn, worship the unborn, bow down before the unborn. Where does that idea come from? But the impersonalists, they'll take everything and they'll just interpret it according to their own, I would say, use the word capriciousness, completely capricious, how they do it, without any real substance. Esab shabde hoy jnana vijnanas vivek maya karya maya hoite ame vyatirek. Lord Krishna continued, actual spiritual knowledge and its practical application are considered in all these sound vibrations. Although the external energy comes from me, I am different from it. Actual spiritual knowledge and its application, now we're referring to abhideya, how to employ that spiritual knowledge. Actual spiritual knowledge and its practical application are considered in all these sound vibrations. Although the external energy comes from me, I am different from it. And it's all cheating. Why I will emphasize an impersonal interpretation of literature, because then it's very easy for me to establish a personality cult around myself if I'm a cheater. Because if I say that everything's impersonal, but of course we can't be guided by something impersonal, so I will guide you. This is how it works. Yajse Surya Rastani Pasaye Abas Surya Vina Svatantra Tarana Hoy Prakash. Sometimes a reflection of the sun is experienced in place of the sun, but its illumination is never possible independent of the sun. Mayatita Hoy Le Hoy Amara Anubab E Sambandha Tattva Kohilun Shuna Arsab. When one is transcendentally situated, one can perceive me. This perception is the basis of the relationship with the Supreme Lord. Now let me further explain this subject matter. So we see the reflection of the sunlight in so many objects. Something is shining very brilliantly, like a stone, a jewel, a reflection. Without the sunlight, they won't be shining. Ritirtam yat pratiyeta ya pratiyeta chatmani tadvidyanatmano mayam yata baso yata tama. Whatever appears to be truth without me is certainly my illusory energy, for nothing can exist without me. It is like a reflection of a real light in the shadows, for in the light there are neither shadows nor reflections. What appears to be truth without me, whatever appears to be truth without me is certainly my illusory energy, for nothing can exist without me. It is like a reflection of a real light in the shadows, for in the light there are neither shadows nor reflections. Abhideya sadhana bhaktir shunaha bichar sarvajan deshakala dashate vyaptijar. Now please hear from me. Wait, maybe I skipped a page. Okay. Jaishe Surya Rastani Vashaye Abas Surya Venus Svatantra Tar Nahoy Prakash. Sometimes a reflection of the sun is experienced in place of the sun, but its illumination is never possible independent of the sun. Mayatita hoile hoy amaranubhav asambandha tattva kohilun shuna arsab. When one is transcendentally situated, one can perceive me. This perception is the basis of one's relationship with the Supreme Lord. Now let me further explain the subject matter. Ritertam yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tadvidyanatmano mayam yatabaso yatatama. What appears to be truth without me is certainly my illusory energy, for nothing can exist without me. It is like a reflection of a real light in the shadows, for in the light there are neither shadows nor reflections. Abhideya sadhana bhaktir shunaha bichar sarvajan deshakala dashate vyaptijar. Now please hear from me about the process of devotional service. Abhideya, which is applicable in any country for any person at any times, at all times and in all circumstances. Now please hear from me about the process of devotional service, which is applicable in any country for any person at all times and in all circumstances. So someone can say, well, there may be extenuating circumstances in a country or a situation which will prevent one from worshiping the Lord. You can think of a total totalitarian circumstance in which one could conceivably be impeded from externally showing any signs of worship. It's possible to think that. But just like the chanting of the holy name, we know that the chanting of the holy name can be done loudly, it can be done softly, and it can also be done in one's mind. So there's nothing that can impede you from engaging in devotional service. And ultimately, we will speak of devotional service as being the eternal dharma of an individual, to engage in devotional service. What is the word for eternal dharma? What? My mind, Sanatan dharma. Sometimes my mind goes blank. Sanatan dharma. One's eternal engagement in devotional service. You can be that can go on in any situation. There is no situation that really could impede one from engaging in devotional service of one form or another, because it's the actual quality of the soul. Now, you could say that a person could really be covered over. For instance, person could be an insect. How is he going to engage in Sanatan Dharma? But I'm talking about on the conscious level, where the idea of personality exists with the manifestation of mind, senses, etc. In other words, the human birth. Abhideya sadhana bhaktir shunaha bichar sarvajan deshakala dashate vyaptijar. Now please hear from me about the process of devotional service, which is applicable in any country for any purpose at any time and in all circumstances. Does anyone have a question or anyone want to make a comment? Pardon me?
In February,
Uh,
you finished for the 18th time with Chaitanya Charitamrita?
I think more than that,
More
but
than that, right? You're now in the 45th year. And then somebody raised a question of why we're not reading Bhagavatam, which is the commentary of the Brahma Sutra, and also.
well, for one thing, we could be reading this Bhagavatam in the sense that Pushta Krishna on Saturday is giving classes on the Srimad Bhagavatam. We could be reading it. They sometimes read it at 4 o'clock, I believe, in the Mott, or we're reading it at 4 o'clock in the Mott. So it's not that we never can read the Srimad Bhagavatam, but when, for instance, Maharaj, this Parvat Maharaj, he asked Srila Govinda Maharaj if he could read the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srila Govinda Maharaj said, yes, if you read every shloka and every purport from the beginning to the end, everything. And then Guru Maharaj, when asked about it, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he said that the Bhagavatam should be read under the instruction or by being taught by one's guru. In other words, the Bhagavatam cannot always be understood directly. One can understand it if one's real, like Mahaprabhu is saying, that everything is understood from the Upanishads, the Vedas, the Bhagavatam, Vedanta Sutra. He says it's all parallel. But at the same time, Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, normally one cannot understand the Srimad Bhagavatam without being instructed by one's guru. And sometimes it is said that the Bhagavatam is also a compendium of all Vedic knowledge, or maybe also the Brahma Sutra is said like that. But there are things in the Bhagavatam that are not easily understood, why these stories are there, what is the import of these stories, without being explained by an advanced devotee. Now, I guess if one is an advanced devotee, like Guru Maharaj told Parvat Maharaj, he could read the Bhagavatam, but read everything. Don't skip over. Don't skip anything. Now, in the later cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are stories that are there that would maybe not be so self-evident to everybody. But it is said that Chaitanya Charitamrita contains all spiritual knowledge, and it includes within it everything that's of substance in this. It includes within it the understanding of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And I've heard that, read the explanations where it says the Chaitanya Charitamrita is the percolation of the knowledge of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now you know what the word percolate means, right?
Coming down, drop right now.
Well, it's also, percolation also means when something percolates, it's going through, it's not just coming down, but it's also like in the process of making coffee. It's being made more stronger by percolation, so that Chaitanya Charitamrita actually percolates the knowledge of the Srimad Bhagavatam, makes it more evident, more strong, and it's giving it directly. So I have always felt personally that by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, one will get the knowledge of by reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita, one will get the knowledge of the Srimad Bhagavatam, but that is not to say that the Bhagavatam should not be read.
No, but now there's a question like that. The first canto, the Parishit Maharaj.
The first, second canto, though, they're very, very pertinent devotional service, what is explained in the first and second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. After that, everything continues, and it's very wonderful. But then one gets into there are certain sections of the Srimad Bhagavatam that are just goes on like many incidents, many stories, many pastimes, etc.
Maharaj, I was finished. This is one thing I'm saying. I'm noticing for me and also for newer devotees. Okay, now it's almost time to finish. For newer devotees, since the first canto, Maharaj meeting, Maharaj meeting Kali, and there's so many nice commentary about that. For me and also for newer devotees.
Yeah, very wonderful.
There are many details on the basic of why we should, and then Parishi Maharaj first 7 days to leave, and then he asked what we should do and what we should not do. All these details we're missing. I see that we're missing for our practicing of spiritual life, basic spiritual life, you may consider. And there's so many information in there, and that we're not getting anywhere else.
A lot of the some of the references you're saying are in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but Jaggi Marsh, how would you answer this?
I asked Gurudev if I could read the Bhagavatam.
Uh-huh.
He told me yes, but verify what you understand with the Vaishnava, or verify according to how it is taught by the Vaishnavas. And we know that what Gurudev said to me and what these other points are, as is told by Sri Damodar, Jaha Bhagavat Poro Vaishnavar Stani. Study the Bhagavat in the association of Vaishnavas.
Yeah.
This is the main general advice. So there's no question whether in our Sampradaya the Bhagavatam is to be studied. The Bhagavatam is the supremely authoritative text of our Sampradaya. That is very clear.
Okay.
Then the question becomes, can we, without knowledge of the language and the subtlety of what's being expressed there, clearly understand the text when we're reading it rendered in English? That is a challenge. So, now that commentaries are being translated and translations are coming out, gradually the clarity of what's being said in Bhagavatam is becoming accessible. So if we can get the association of someone who's qualified to represent the original text in its original language, according to the commentaries of the acharyas of our Sampradaya, we may have hope to clearly appreciate what is expressed there.
Okay, but what can be the dangers? I mean, if I understand that the Parishit Maharaj find Kali beating
No, there's no danger, not so much danger of it's being explained by a Vaishnava. But let me just say the background in which I heard this, because I heard the Srimad Bhagavatam, which you're talking about. I heard it for years and years.
Right.
Many years I heard it. But in a form, but what was the format I heard it in? Basically one verse a day. One verse a day with somebody just blabbing on for an hour on one verse, and it was so tangential to what the meaning of the verse was that we practically never even finished a chapter. I would never even hear a whole chapter when it was being explained in that way. All it was is somebody reading the reading the verse and blah 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 blah. And it just what? That's why I was. So I didn't really get the gist of. But what I was doing is, Prabhupada was publishing the books on my own. I was reading each time a Bhagavatam volume came out. I was reading it from start to finish. Now, at least in the cases of the first and second canto, which you're talking about, that was very essential, and Prabhupada gave lectures on those first and second verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, of the first and second cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam. He repeatedly referred to those verses. He read, like the first verses of the first canto, he read several verses in succession. He didn't just explain about one verse. But so I'm not against the idea of people reading Srimad Bhagavatam, but if you say, well, the devotees are missing some knowledge from the Srimad Bhagavatam, I would say that the devotees are missing a lot of knowledge, not just of the Srimad Bhagavatam, because many of the times, and I don't say this in a bad way, but we're not so much in the Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat, we're not so much in an institutionalized setting. We're now preaching in the Western countries to many persons who are living outside the devotional community. They don't live in temples. they come to the temples sometimes. And our own students who are within the temples are not being trained in terms of an institution, I would say. So there's a difference. So a certain amount of knowledge which was being presented to the devotees in those circumstances of institutionalized learning and everything like that is now missing. Now, I don't necessarily think that that's completely a bad thing, although there are some inconveniences. And why? Well, this is just my own understanding, but it is said that an institution is only the length and breadth of one man or one person. So you need a real guru to establish the parameters of an institution. If you're lacking a strong guru, the institution will not be properly orientated and people will become confused. And I see that. Now, I'm not speaking specifically about any situation. But in terms of the Bhagavatam, I myself am reading the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. There are 18,000 verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then when you get into many of the cantos have, explanation stories which would be very wonderful to hear and everything. But as Govinda Maharaj has said, you should read from start to finish. I'm not going to start the Srimad Bhagavatam and then become immersed in chapters which I would rather read, directly the understanding of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his philosophy and his personality, everything about him. That was another thing I felt when all the time we were hearing and just reading Srimad Bhagavatam, I found that devotees didn't know anything almost about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, except that he was the leader of the Sankirtan movement, which meant book distribution.
And halwa and chickpeas in the morning, puri.
So whatever, I'm just saying. So your question is pertinent. Why don't the devotees hear and read the Srimad Bhagavatam? But that should be done under the direction of a guru. And as I said in the mat, they do that at 4 o'clock in the afternoon generally. But I don't have any situation here for teaching at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
The time is important because if it's
because in the morning I'm reading about Chaitanya the structure in the mat. In the mat, the structure... No, I'm saying something else. In the structure of the mat, it's Chaitanya Bhagavad in the morning and Chaitanya Charitamrita in the evening.
This is a technical thing.
No, it's not a technical thing.
Why?
Because I feel it's necessary for the devotees to have understanding of Mahaprabhu's personal existence. So I'm reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. Why I'm reading it in the morning instead of the evening? Because there are many places of the Chaitanya Charitamrita which are totally very high understanding and very high knowledge that I'm not reading at night because Govinda Maharaj has said that for evening it is good that the devotees hear things like the Bhagavad Gita, explanation of the Sikshastakam, and other subjects like that. In other words, that they can be preached to in the evening and hear from the speakers. And in the morning, I feel that the atmosphere is proper for the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which I feel is more necessary to hear, in place of the Chaitanya Bhagavat. In being read, like say the other time slot would be the evening, I agree that it's good that the devotees get knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and everything. But I hope to be able to read also in the morning the Chaitanya Bhagavat. As far as the Srimad Bhagavatam goes, it is published, it is available, and if the devotees will follow what Srila Govinda Maharaj said, and which Tyagi Maharaj also talked about, confirming what they're reading with an advanced Vaishnava, that will be good. And they can read it. There's no reason why they can't read it. But I'm not going to read it in place of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I already lived in a circumstance for many years where the devotees did not hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I feel it's necessary to hear about Mahaprabhu and his teachings daily. I mean, that's as close to an explanation as I can get.
But that's what Mahaprabhu is talking about.
Yeah, so then read the Srimad Bhagavatam. Read the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, yeah. And we have it as PDF. You have it as a PDF, the whole Srimad Bhagavatam?
No, but I can get it.
Yeah, you can get it. So then why don't you have it? You can read it.
It's my fault. What can I say?
I'm not giving it in the class. I just, for me, it's more important to hear the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
No, my daughter was asking, they say, there's a story here in the Bhagavad Purana. What is that? Why we never... Even my daughter was asking me, like Bharat, Maharaj Bharat, remembering the deer, and Ajvamila, Brahmana, so many, Nava Yogendra, Maharaj Nimi, Avaduta Gita.
Okay, a good question. Again. Tyagi Maharaj, you want to add something before we finish the class?
I cut it off.
No. Tyagi Maharaj, you want to say something more? Oh, okay.
Very wonderful.
Let it be.
Huh?
John Lennon, let it be.
Especially if they read it according to the commentaries of the previous acharyas, then you understand.
Let it be.
Okay.
It's all good.
It's all good. I'm just not going to be reading the Srimad Bhagavatam and not the Chaitanya Charitamrita for 1 year. Because for 1 year, 12 cantos, all the verses, to read them one after another.
But that's a technical matter. I mean, who said that you have to read one verse at a time?
No, I'm not saying one verse at a time. If it was one verse at a time, there's 18,000 verses. One verse at a time. That's why we never finished. That's why nobody ever finished it.
18,000 years. 18,000 days.
365. That would be 3 times 54 years at one verse a day. All right, I was going to sing Hare. So we authorize you to read Srimad Bhagavatam, and you can teach it to your daughter too.
For you, 18,000 days more. Come on.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama Janavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinatham Maranamo Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Rupa Sanadam Bhakta Raguna Sri Jiva Gopala Bhata Dasa Raguna Jai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jai Te Vignana Shabhishta Puran Jai Gosai Dharmui Janardan Dasavar Pada Renu Mora Panchagra Pader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanima Janame Janame More Abhila Jai Gozai Jabe Bhaje Koilaban Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Pad Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Madhya-lila Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Korea Hare Nam Sankirtana Kohe Naradamodam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Nitai Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Nitai Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Juki Jai Jai Om Vishnu Pan Paramahansa Paramajaka Ashta Tara Sadar Shri Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnu Pan Paramahansa Paramajaka Ashta Tara Sadar Shri Shimad Srila Bhakti Rakshidhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai All the assembled devotees ki jai.
Jai.
Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai.
Maharaj ki
Jai.
Ah. You know what I'm experiencing, Maharaj? Anyway, I find my mind is going temporarily shuts off, just goes blank. It's not short term. It's not short term memory loss. Sometimes I'm thinking of something else at the time. Oh yeah, turn this off. Here, give it to me.
finish off this press screen.
Okay.